before I get into making videos about the 7 Frieze groups, I want to talk about how to make them, how to think about them to make it easier to create them. And also, I want to talk about gyration points, which is a real important concept if you're going to be unraveling these things. Okay, so whatever shapes that I'm making, and my Frieze symmetry. Now, Frieze symmetry is by definition a linear pattern. It's good to start with a line. And what I'm doing is I'm putting any shape that I'm using right on a square. And at first, these are going to just help me create my patterns more easily, to sort of see what's going on. So I can just line them up on the line. It's not so hard to do it with this shape because it seems to have its own line. But what if I wanted my shape to be like this? To be off the horizon line a little. Then it makes it easier. And if I want it to overlap, as long as they're evenly spaced, again, the square just helps me keep everything lined up. Now, if I'm saying I want to use this shape that's this unit shape that's like a tilted square, I keep my square with the idea that it's going to stay parallel to the horizon line, but I tilt the unit and glue it on. So it looks like this. And then again, if I've got it mounted on a square, it makes it easy to keep the pattern uniform. And of course, again, these don't have to, the squares themselves don't have to touch each other. Here, I'll move them over like this. And there you've got a different pattern, different arrangement. It also makes it easier if I want to reflect something that has not a straight up and down angle. So if I imagine there's a vertical line here and I mirror reflect over it, and I'm using my square, it's easy to find the right place. Same thing, if the mirror reflection point is at the horizon line, I can just take it, and as long as my square stays parallel to that line, I know what I know where everything's going to be lined up just right. Same thing, like let's say you've got like this really wonky shape, and it hangs off the square. That's fine. It doesn't have to stay on the square. It just has to be its placement is just informed by the square. And let's see, I'd probably do that to make it even. And again, this one would be easy to reflect if it's on the square, because you're just reflecting the square and your unit is just coming along for the ride. Now, the gyration points, a gyration point describes a point that the unit will revolve around that's not at the center of the unit. So when the Earth is revolving around its own axis, that's not a gyration point. But when it's revolving around the sun is like a big gyration point. And so here's what I mean. This is the unit revolving around itself, right? But in Frieze symmetries, the rotation will always be 180 degrees, but it doesn't have to be from the center of this object. It could be from somewhere else, like here. This will be my gyration point then. So I'm going to turn it 180 degrees. There we go. And that's how that pattern would look with the revolving around here, which will always be end up being halfway between these two pieces. Now, let's say if I put the gyration point, let's put it up here. I'm touching one of the edges, and look what happens now. This is what my unit that's going to be repeated will look like. I can do it from inside the unit. So I'll put it right here. I'll put it here. Oops. Now I'm revolving around. That's that one, 180 degrees. There we go. So using the square just makes it easier to see exactly when it's gone 180 degrees and makes it easier to move it because it's connected to something. They're sort of connected together. Okay, so that's it. Hope that's clear. If it's not, if you keep watching these, hopefully it will be.